Tell him the story. Austin, it was serendipitous. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I had heard that you were looking for a producer because I was just a fan and I was delivering pizzas and I needed podcasts and I was binging
You
so
just
many
love
podcasts.
pizza, pussy, and podcasts.
Pizza,
Right? That's
pussy,
your
pod-
thing.
dude.
Peace.
Now it's just podcasts.
Right. No, the more podcasts you get into, the
Now
less
he's doing
pussy.
less pussy you get.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
right. But the
I'm
more
finding
pizza
that.
you eat, so it's a trade-off.
Yeah.
So, and then he had, he's not really discreet about where he kind of lives. So I was like, oh my God, I live in the area. And so I was like, I walk around that block all the time. I know. Like I go on walks with my girlfriend and I told myself if I ever saw him and he was with his kids, I would never ever go up to him and talk to him ever. Like
No, you talk to the kids
that's
directly,
crossing the line.
right?
Yeah. Bunch of kids.
Yeah. Do you want a new daddy, etc.? And then you look at Bert and say, I'm looking for a job. I can make this smooth over real easy.
So I was walking around the block and he was out front playing catch with his daughter, and I was like, he's with his daughter. I would never go up to him. And then she throws the ball over the roof and she has to go in the backyard to get it. And I looked at my girlfriend and I was like, this is my shot.
This is so creepy.
Yeah,
On
yeah.
a certain level, he's like, the daughter's gone. Go, go,
I
go.
have to, like I wouldn't have talked to him with his daughter there, but and then I walked up to him and was like, I have a home studio. Yeah, I know how to run all this mixing board.
The best
shit.
part was that he lives right around the corner from me.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So like if I go, like, so we do this solo podcast now. So if I go, hey, can you do like 5 today? He's like, yeah, I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Oh, you do your own now.
I do a solo one attached to this, and like where it's called open tabs. I just throughout the weekend I just keep all the tabs open that
Very
I
funny.
Google,
Uh-huh.
and then I just go through them and tell you what I learned.
That's brilliant. I love it.
And then this one, but we're so backed up. We've had so many fucking podcasts lately that like, I guess everyone's got stuff going on. The Super Troopers have a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Moore has a special coming out. And you and Natasha did the Honeymoon special.
We just dropped yesterday. Oh, I don't know when
It just
this is
dropped yesterday?
I don't know when this comes out.
It doesn't matter. That's
It
the
was
beauty
yesterday
of Netflix
when it happened.
is that you don't want to pre-promote things. You want to promote it while it's on the air.
Yeah, exactly.
So you get this long window of like 3 months. You really have 4 years, but you have 3 months
Totally.
where people are going to find it. But it's always going to be in the rotation. Segura was like, yesterday was like, I'm going to screen grab you people right now just finding my special and emailing me. He goes, I have as many emails today as I got the day it dropped.
Do you know, very few people know this because no one cared, but I think the first 2 specials ever to go on Netflix was my special and Todd Glass's. And it was so long ago that when Netflix bought it, I was embarrassed. I was like,
Really?
Yeah, I was like, oh man, okay, like Comedy Central's not interested, they're passing, but we got Netflix said they'd buy it, and I was like, ugh, it felt like, Amazon Prime had said that they would. I mean, now Amazon is also a legitimate buyer too, but at the time, I swear to God, I was embarrassed. I remember being embarrassed about it.
That's crazy.
And it was on for, I don't know, a couple of years, and it's been my first special was in 2009 or maybe 2012. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So now it's like it's this other animal.
It's here's the way I perceive it. I'd love to hear your opinion. I believe it's Bill Burr.
That's interesting. That's an interesting idea. It's Bill Burr, but it's also Louis, and it's also Allie, and it's also Tom. And
No. But Bill was the first.
You think Bill was the first one that had Bill was big when he got there.
Bill did a Netflix special, and I remember watching it on YouTube, and then being like putting it and being like, oh, this is a great special. It was one of the best specials I'd seen in a long time. And then putting it out there on the Twitter, like, this is a great special. And someone's like, Bert, you need to support Bill on Netflix. And I remember going, what the fuck? You mean, I'm not going to order this DVD and wait for it and then mail it back? And they're like, no, it's online. I go, I'm definitely not going online. And at that time, Tom's special was airing. And I think, this is the way I saw it. I could be very wrong. But Tom and Bill were kind of married, like kin brothers. Like their material was similar.
Oh, that's interesting.
So people that like Bill found Tom, and Tom's fan base is so much bigger than I can wrap my head around.
But it wasn't when he first did that special.
His first special is what popped.
Right. And my theory about me and Natasha is that we're like married.
Yeah,
kind of a thing. And no, I actually think I disagree with you.
Okay.
I think that the big shift is Netflix. It's not, Bill. There's no question.
So you think it was Netflix, people finding Netflix.
And people like love stand-up, and stand-up's having its renaissance and whatever. And also like because of the way that Netflix acquires things, it's not like it doesn't really have an editorial bent, you know. So you're gonna have your Rogan, Segura, Bill Burr, and then you're also going to have your like, you know, lefty, liberally
Joe Mandy,
Joe Mandy,
artsy Joe Mandy, Neil Brennan.
Yeah, whatever. It's just it's so wide that everybody is what I got an email when the special came out, this most recent special, from my cousin in Tel Aviv, and it's my artwork and it's in Hebrew, and I read it. It's like stand up. I'm in Israel now, so it's like such a neat kind of. So I actually think that's it. Like I think there's no question a comedian like Bill Burr moved the needle, and then the needle has kept moving. We were saying like. I remember one night I was at the store with Mo Mandel, and there was like all of a sudden, I mean, the store's had a big transformation, as you know, in many other ways. But all of a sudden we're looking around, it's like, why are there so many fucking Bentleys here? And then it's like Rob Schneider and David Spade, all these dudes that you kind of, David Spade has been doing stand-up consistently, but just, I'm talking about people that you kind of weren't seeing as much before. And I go, why are all these dudes here all of a sudden? And Mo very wisely was like, well, Netflix just started paying like millions of dollars for a special. And people are like meerkatting out of like the acting world. Like, wait, I actually still do stand up.
Yeah, I can definitely do stand up.
Yeah.
I have something to say. It's so funny you say that because you're right. Dave Chappelle kind of made it so that you just can do stand up.
I mean, it's insane. The amount that people are getting. I heard Ricky Gervais. People keep talking about Ricky Gervais got $60 million.
That's impossible.
Unless overall development deal.
Oh, that's possible. Because I think that's worth the money. I mean, if you say that, and by the way, I hope this doesn't come out super slanderous, but if you say, what did Chappelle get? 20 million?
I don't remember. Something insane.
Something 40 million?
Yeah.
Rock got 40 million. Amy got 13 million.
Yeah, I mean,
and they just did specials.
I got 19 million, and I'm like, how could this be?
I know. I wish I could remember her.
What's funny is you're right now thinking about the real number, and then you're thinking about the best joke number to say.
No, I'm trying to remember her fucking name. I was going to say Thea Vidal, but it's not Thea Vidal.
Oh, Monique.
I got Monique money.
You're doubly racist, and I like that.
But it is crazy that like Ricky Gervais could put out so much more stuff.
Right.
I would settle for a very modest number if my next special was at Netflix and it was an overall deal.
I totally agree.
I would settle for not much more than they paid me on this one and for an overall deal. And I bet you and Natasha would in a heartbeat, because you guys are such a creative couple that to have a home to create and just put stuff up.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like we're in the era right now where companies are eating culture alive, and like Netflix is this one interesting example it's eating culture alive, but in a way that's not destroying culture. Like Amazon is putting the Amazon business model is like putting little stores out of business. I mean, I always say Amazon wants to put business out of business.
Yeah.
You know, they want to be business.
Yeah.
But Netflix is putting like networks out of business, and it's kind of like, who gives a fuck? You know, like in the end, if there's like 16 new shows a week and they're churning out creative stuff, like, well, that's actually kind of like a home for art, and in a way that's really cool. I mean, the idea that like you're doing a special and I'm doing a special and Burr's doing a special and Cat Williams is doing, like, it's just there's never been a kind of cooler, more interesting time to like be a stand-up that can do a special.
I think the one weakness I see in Netflix right now is they haven't cracked the nut of reality programming.
Did you see Queer Eye?
I haven't seen Queer Eye, and everyone told me it's amazing.
Yo,
for real?
You want to be sitting in your man cave weeping? I mean,
are you serious?
100% serious. Like you will. I would love to watch it with you.
Really?
I would love to cuddle up with you and Bill Burr and just watch you guys watch Queer Eye and see.
I love that right now Bill's hearing this going, I'm not fucking homophobic.
No, I'm not insinuating anyone is. It's just like, it's nice because that's the premise of that show is like men.
Yeah.
And not that the Queer Eye guys aren't men, but they're very, some of them, one in particular is like extremely effeminate, kind of like cozying up to these men who are men, and just it's such a kind of beautiful, like, I remember last time we were here, we were talking politics a lot, and I'm like, now at this point, I feel like I've been like a foie gras duck with politics. Like, I don't even want to think about politics anymore.
Yeah.
And Queer Eye does this weird thing where it subverts politics, and it's like, it's beyond, it's like, it gets into your emotional, I want to see you watch it.
I would like to watch that because I want to see the format they use, because I know that Netflix has acquired some. I'm a really, really, really big fan of like building shows, off the grid shows, wilderness shows, cooking shows.
Yeah.
Like, ultimately, everything that is like HGTV, DIY, cooking, and food, and travel. But travel, I think, is stalled. I think that network kind of stalled, and it's just redoing stuff that worked like 12 years ago.
Have you seen Nailed It?
No.
That's a funny show. It's cool. Do you know who Nicole Byer is?
No.
She's a very funny comedian.
Wait, what is it?
It's a show where they get people like, well, you actually can cook, but people like me, or actually you would be good on it, to come in and try to cook pastries at like an extremely high level. Really? And they basically watch as people make the most horrifying, like, ugly disasters of a dessert.
Is that on Netflix?
It's on Netflix.
Okay, yeah. I'm watching that.
That's
I'm
fun.
watching that on my flight tomorrow.
What do you? You should do a show. I mean, that's your.
I would. I think I would be probably. I don't know. Part of me feels like, I mean, my last show I got offered, I felt like I was taking a step backwards. So I was like, if I'm not, like, I just felt like I've done that for so long that I want to try something.
Yeah, I hear that. What do you want?
Different.
You want to be in a sitcom or something?
Well, I mean, my ultimate goal, and this is super lowbrow, but I want to be in a 4-camera sitcom. I've always enjoyed that.
You'd be so good at that.
I just love that live aspect.
You want to know my ultimate goal is?
Please.
Watching Queer Eye with you in your man cave. No, what is my ultimate goal? I don't even know the answer to that. I remember one time I was having like existential angst.
By the way, we can totally do that.
Yeah.
We can totally do that as a podcast where we just watch it.
Bert watching Queer Eye?
And every now and then we'll have to go stop, and everyone hits their space bar and stops it.
Oh,
and they watch it along with us.
You know what I like? There's some great videos on YouTube of these two black dudes listening to heavy metal, like heavy metal classics.
Yeah.
And then they do that exact thing. They're like, they're so cool because they're like really into. They're not like metalheads at all.
Yeah.
So it's like they're listening to like, Master of Puppets for the first time, and you're watching them go like, okay, stop. I see definitely what's happening here. I see why this is good.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's you with Queer Eye.
Yeah.
I think you on a multicam sitcom. That just seems like a
What do you want to do?
I'm doing what I like. I think I think in the long term, like, I've been thinking about this lately. Like, in the long term, I think I had a moment of existential angst a few years ago, right after my book came out, and I was like, "What do I want to do?"
Such a great book.
Oh, thanks, man.
Thank you
very much.
Really, such a great book.
Thank you. I didn't know you read it.
Yeah, Kasher in the Rye.
Yeah,
of course I did.
Not for the listeners, not Catcher in the Rye.
Kasher in the Rye.
Kasher, it's me.
It's you're such a natural writer.
Thank you.
It really is. I mean, I can't. There's two people where I read the book and I went, I don't know if they should have been stand-ups. They might have been writers in a different world. In the 1950s, they might have just been amazing writers.
That's what I wanted to do when I was a kid. I didn't dream of stand-up when I was a kid. I dreamt of being a writer, of writing books. Yeah.
You and Patton Oswalt.
Oh, Patton. Yeah.
Was it Werewolves and Lollipops?
Yeah.
That's such an amazing book. It really took, and now he had the leaning into that. I knew the character of Patton, and I think you did too.
Right.
Where I knew your character going into it. But man, both of those books just really
that's
amazing
so nice.
books.
That's so cool of you to say. I was very proud of that book. It was like, it meant a lot to me to do that. It was like it was just a huge emotional here, because the book, for those of you that haven't read it, is all about my childhood trauma, which was severe and insane, and I know what I look like now, but if you'd seen me then.
Your parents were deaf?
Both parents are deaf. My dad was a Hasidic Jew. After my parents split, my dad got like delved into Hasidic Judaism. My mom was not religious. I was raised in Oakland, one of the few white kids in any school I went to, raised on welfare, and then fell into drugs and juvenile mental health system when I was like 12, and was in and out of rehab and in and out of jail and in and out of high school and junior high school, and then just hit a brick wall. By the time when I was 16, I went to rehab for the last time. And so the subtitle of the book is Kasher in the Rye: The True Tale of a White Boy from Oakland Who Became a Drug Addict, Criminal, Mental Patient, and Then Turned 16. So it's a mouthful, and it was a mouthful of an experience.
It's a really great book.
Thanks, dude.
But would you see, I I didn't enjoy the process of writing a book.
You didn't like it.
It's not. I don't think it's my natural extension.
It's so different from stand-up, right? It's so lonely. Stand-up is so communal, especially your stand-up. Maybe more than any other stand-up comedian, literally in the world. It's like this process of you and your machinies or whatever you call them. You know, the
cogs.
Yeah, I mean the cogs. It's like a book is so isolating.
Yeah,
you're so in your own brain. But I kind of like that part of it. Like,
but also, don't you feel like it really puts you out there to show your weaknesses in a way that stand-up, you can mask your weaknesses with stand-up.
Absolutely, yeah.
I remember when he said, Yaniv was my editor, and he was like, we're going to go through a punch-up. I was like, I don't know if I know how to do that. That's as funny as I think it can be.
That's funny.
And then I went through and I was like, oh, like, hold on. Like, it was really like, oh fuck, I don't do this much. I come up with an idea and kind of work it out on stage. I don't just sit.
Well, your punch-up session is like 6 months long, right? You're like, as you're crafting and perfecting a bit, and then by the time, I mean, nobody punches up eventually like a stand-up, because by the time it's done, it's like, there's no more room for jokes. It's insane. I mean, imagine reading your material. It'd be too much, you know?
That happened to me one time. Pat Buckles, right before I did Premium Blend, was like, hey, we never really went over your material. Do you mind going over it right now? It was right before I went on stage. And I was like, sure. And she read it to me. She had a transcript. And I swear to God, this was my opening joke. My name's Bert. My name's Bert. I know you're thinking, hot, sexy name, Bert. I don't want to hear that called out in bed. Bert. And I was like, it's funnier when I do it. And she's like, it doesn't seem funny when I read it. And I went, well, no, I make the noise. I go, Bert. And she was like, okay.
I mean, it's like, how inane can you be? It's like, you're not aware that there's a performative aspect to stand-up comedy? Comedy Central? This is the central area of comedy.
She just kept staring at me like, okay, black guys hate when you touch their faces? What? Huh? Yeah, I think everyone does.
I mean, that is so funny that somebody would think that they could read a transcript and be like, this isn't really working.
But you know what I learned that night? Tig went up before me, and I don't mean this once again slanderous. I love Tig, but Tig bombed. She'll tell you she bombed.
Yeah.
I went up and killed.
Yeah.
I had a great set, but when you watch it on TV, I look like crazy, and Tig looks confident and established.
Oh, that's very funny.
And they just plug in laughs, and Tig's set was so much better than mine.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I remember one of the best sets I ever saw was your first Aspen set in that theater.
Oh, that was fun. I remember
watching that set online on MySpace.
No shit, really? Mm-hmm. You're such a supportive dude. That's so interesting that you would have done that. I would never have done that.
I like laughing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's my it's my flaw. Here's my biggest flaw is I like being a fan of shit. I like enjoying shit. I don't like disliking stuff. That brings out a really negative side of me, and it happens. It definitely happens. But I always try to find the glass half full. Right now, I'm trying to work on a bit of why social media is amazing and great, and
that's
why phones are great. Because I'm like, they're not going away. Everyone's saying this is so bad for us. So, but that's not. I don't know. I'm lost in my bits. I don't know. But
are you rebuilding right now?
I am.
Me too. That's a bitch of a process.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm like, my problem is I did this special with Natasha. She does basically the structure of the special is that she does a half hour, I do a half hour, and then we do a half hour episode together where we bring couples up from the audience and basically just kind of roast them, together. And it's cool because it's a new format of the special. And that's why I think, like, as, there are so many hour specials on Netflix. Like, I think they're going to start doing. There's just this 4-part special. I forget the guy's name, dude from England, that is on Netflix right now that people are talking about a lot.
The guy that's laying on his side.
I think so. Yeah. Do you see it?
I saw the poster board for it, and I went. I stopped watching the international specials.
Oh yeah, right.
Because I was watching some, and I was like, and I was fucking with my head because I'm like. Someone had said this to me once, but they had planted the seed of, it is definitely not what you say, it's how you say it. That's what makes a great stand-up.
Yeah.
Who was I doing that with? We were doing impressions of comedians, but not doing their acts, just doing what they sound like. And when you start listening to people do Spanish, like do an act in Spanish, you can almost predict where the joke's coming, and it started really fucking with my head.
Oh, you were like watching those Mexican specials and the Malaysian ones.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's another weird thing about Netflix. You're like, what am I, like, where are we right now?
Yeah.
We're Peru's best comic? I did not know I would ever be in a world where I'm watching Peru. Dude, here's a crazy story. Speaking of how the internet has affected stand-up comedy, this is Netflix acquiring these international comics. I heard this crazy story because the internet itself is affecting stand-up in this crazy way. Like because for a long time, people internationally were isolated in their little stand-up bubble, right? Because there was no internet, so they weren't watching everybody stand up. They lived over there. You know, maybe they would get like once in a while like a famous special, but they're not. You know, it's like it was always just like Carlin and whatever. Long story short. There was a guy in Italy. I heard the story when I was I was in Italy writing on Zoolander 2. I was like doing punch up for Zoolander 2. Yeah, living in Rome for like 4 months, and it was like one of the best experiences of my life. And I met like local comedians, and I met this local Italian comic. He was telling me the story that there was a guy who started in like the 80s or something, and he was kind of like an Italian comedian, like a clown, like as you would picture, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like big kind of silly, mimey, international
Roberto
comedy.
Benigni.
Yeah, exactly. And then about 5 years into his career or whatever, he did this shift where he became this amazing, incisive, like national hero of stand-up comedy. He went from this clown to this like sort of like just this brilliant like didactic tactician of political ideas and cultural,
I know who the fuck you're talking about.
Cultural whatever. And then he's the hero of you know, he is Carlin of Italy. And then the internet came out, and the young Italian comedians started to watch everybody stand up. And it will watch, you know, Carlin with subtitles or Pryor with subtitles and be like, this is our national heroes bit, like thing after thing after thing. And then they busted the guy and were like, and then he disappeared, and no one's like, he basically is off the face of the map. What a fucking genius though for while it worked.
Oh, how I bet him when he was like, this internet's not going to catch up with me.
He just
what's the worst that can happen? And then he Googles himself and he sees the Carlos Mencia, the like a lot of similarities back to back.
It flies to. I mean, just think of this guy. Like, okay, goodbye, ciao, Italia. I'll be back in 1 month, and he just like flies to Vegas, like with a notepad at Carlin shows and Pryor shows. Like, great, this is good stuff. Flies back home, translates it to Italian, and is just like a genius. Anyway,
there's wait, what was it like living in Rome, punching up? And what's it like punching up? I've never done that. I've always wanted to.
Oh, that was real fun. And I mean, especially on a movie like Zoolander, because Zoolander is a movie that is so chock filled with cameos that every day is like a new exciting, like, holy shit, I hung out with Sting today. Have you ever met Sting?
No.
The most awesome guy in the world. Clearly has made a decision at some point in his life, like, I'm Sting, I'm going to be fucking awesome. So that everybody that meets Sting will be like, Sting is fucking awesome. Yeah. He came and he ate lunch with the extras. Sting. Really? He hugged me goodbye. Why? Why are you hugging me, Sting? Because you're a cool guy. Oh. I mean, just the coolest. I mean, the nicest dude ever. And who else did I meet? I met Justin Bieber. Also, just the nicest dude ever.
Really?
No, come on. No, he's not a bad guy. I have a very funny story about Justin Bieber also. On set, we were at the Caracalla Baths in Rome doing a sunrise scene, and Justin Bieber was there, and Natasha was visiting, and she had done the Bieber roast with him. So I didn't want to get in, you know, a star like that. Like there's a kind of energy that's like sort of, you know, surrounds them where it's, you don't even want to like enter their orbit without like a portal in kind of, and so they were shooting the scene and stuff, and I was like pitching jokes, and it's always what's fun is to pitch jokes to, like, you know, Kiefer Sutherland and you know, Penelope Cruz, and watch them laugh, and then you're like kind of like, I mean, I don't ever get starstruck by stand-ups, but when I'm seeing like some, you know, these like weirdo movie stars, or like, that's kind of cool. It's like a neat feather in your cap to pitch them a joke and they like it. So whatever. the sun's coming up. They shot all night, and the sun's coming up, and then Natasha, who's been taking a nap in my trailer, comes out, and I was like, Justin, you remember Natasha? From the roast, and he's like, "Oh yeah." They connect because she had roasted him and been really brutal.
And I mean, after something like that, they pretty much know each other.
Absolutely.
It sounds crazy, but
also Natasha like just skewered him so hard, like, and she's such a diminutive little like thing to be. Her opening joke was, "Your mom had you when she was something like your mom had you when she was 16. No wonder you've got such good dance moves. You were dodging the coat hanger in utero." Something crazy.
Yeah.
Like, anyway, so then we're like, okay, well, bye. Bye. We're gonna go take a private tour of the Caracalla Baths because it was closed down for us. The Caracalla Baths are this ancient Roman bathhouse where all of the citizens of Rome would come to like work out and bathe, and it was just like a giant, like mega bathing complex, and it's like a world UNESCO historical site, and there's these beautiful mosaics, and it's like you never get to go in there by yourself, but because it was a production, they shut it all down. So dope. So we're going and we're walking away, and we hear from behind us we hear Moshe, Natasha, and we turn around, and it's Justin Bieber and his squad, and they're like, "Can we come with you on a walking tour, sunrise walking tour of the Caracalla Baths?" We're like, yeah, Justin Bieber, you can join us."
Shut up.
So he comes with us, him and Scooter, I was going to say Libby, but that's the other Scooter Braun, who, by the way, I don't know if you know him. No. He's Justin's manager. That dude's like the most brilliant music tactician in the world. He found Justin online and was like, that guy's a star. He bought the rights to Friday. Remember that?
Yeah.
For like something like $10,000, and then just like turned it into this viral hit. Anyway, whatever. So we're like, they join us. I mean, it's this big old squad of like, and his dancers. I mean, a person like that has an orbit. And we're walking through the Caracalla Baths, and we're kind of like playing this game where we're pretending to narrate, and then Justin Bieber will narrate one room, and he's like, "Oh, this is this," and I'm narrating another room, and then all of a sudden I see Justin do like a Bieber-esque dance move over a security gate. He like pops into one of the mosaics, and he's like, "Oh, dope!" and
"Oh, dope!"
and he's like, "Dope!" and he grabs a mosaic tile from in the inside of this international heritage site, and he's like, "Look!" and he like jumps back out like, "Got me a gift!" and I'm like, I look at him, and my judgmental gut is like, it just falls out of my mouth. I'm like, "Justin, what are you doing? Put that back!" And I mean, I swear to God, like if I had one more second to think about it, I would have been like, "Oh, that's cool, man. Justin Bieber just robbed a Roman historical artifact." But it just fell out of my mouth like as if it was a child. And he looked at me, and it was like, he was looking at me with this look like, "Stop it. Don't do that. I know those words. I've heard all of those words together before." I know.
Don't do that.
But his face was like, "But no one said that to me
in a long time."
And then my face is probably like, "Oh no, I just said these words." And he goes, "Oh man, now you made me feel bad." And he pops back over, puts the mosaic tile in, and we continue on our tour.
Oh my God.
that was a weird morning.
How great. What a great fucking story. I would love to just meet Justin Bieber. I would love to. There's people like that I would love to get inside their head in an honest way.
Right. Yeah, me too.
Like to really, like, my problem is I'm super honest. I'm super open. So you can get in my head really quick.
Right. And by the way, Sting is as famous as Justin Bieber, but you could have a conversation with him easily.
Yeah.
If you had him here, you guys would be in... By the way, I'm not Sting's best friend. I know it sounds like right now, but my homie Sting, like I'm on a first name basis with Sting, and I don't do first and last like most people do. Sting Borowitz, but
his last name is Borowitz.
No.
Oh my God! I was like, Sting's Jewish.
I wish. Believe me. I wish.
That would be fucking. I would be on the front of the Torah.
I always feel like somebody's watching me. But a dude like that, there are just. Thank you.
Oh, that's a really good bit. That's a really good bit.
Jewish Sting.
It's a really good. No, just if rock stars were Jewish, if Mick Jagger was Jewish, well, yeah. I mean, I can't.
Yeah, no, of course I can't get satisfaction. I mean, there is no satisfaction available in this universe. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, what is satisfaction?
I can't get no respect. I can't get no satisfaction.
Okay, he becomes Rodney Dangerfield all of a sudden. But there is something that happens with extremely, extremely famous people, I think. I mean, I've never been extremely, extremely famous.
Ooh, I have a partake on this. Keep going.
Where they have to make a decision. Like, am I going to be a cool, regular person? Because you can't really be regular. But you can be a person that impersonates a regular person.
Yep.
Or you can be a person that's like, fuck the world, I'm going to be a famous person only, and I'm going to build walls around myself, and that's how I'll be. What's your take?
I believe that I have experienced a few, and this is more in my past, I think, of people that became famous, and then it fucked with their head so bad, they believed that they had the secret to life.
Oh, totally.
And they were like, now that I've done this, everything I tell you is the right answer because I did this.
100%.
So if you're not listening to me, then you're fucking your life up. And I never really could connect with that because I came from such a regular place in life, like such a place where like no one ever thought they'd get on TV.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
yeah.
And that was not
me
like,
too, by the way.
And I think everyone that comes out of this business comes from that place. But then when you come to LA, I remember my buddy Eddie Fernandez witnessed a comedian who was famous make fun of me in front of everyone.
Like you were there, or
I was right there. I was right there.
Okay, got it.
And my buddy Eddie Fernandez is like a regular dude.
Yeah,
Cuban. His dad was part of the not Sunday Bloody Sunday, the Bay of Pigs.
Oh wow,
like Cuban.
Yeah,
but he lived in Tallahassee. His dad's a doctor, really smart guy, but like been in a bunch of fistfights.
Sure.
And he moved out to LA, and he heard someone make fun of me, and everyone laughed, and I laughed. And Eddie pulled me aside. He goes, "What's happening to you?" He's like, "You smacked that guy in the fucking face." And I was like, "Oh, that's not how Hollywood works." He was like, "That's how men work. You know, a man doesn't do that, bro. Like, are you Alexa, stop. Like, are you?"
It's hilarious. You're literally like live podcasting onto Alexa right now.
She just pops up like, do someone need to know?
No, it's
Eddie
more like,
Fernandez?
Did somebody say Cuban?
Yeah.
They've got like you're on now a watch list.
Yeah, and so part of me was like,
wait, can I ask you?
Sure.
Were you, this famous comedian, were you offended by the joke but pretending to laugh, or were you enjoying having your balls busted?
Well, part of me, I don't know. I really don't remember. I don't really remember the joke. I remember the comedian.
I'm saying, like, if you bust my balls,
yeah,
then I'm gonna like go, well, that's my friend Bert. That's funny. I like that.
He didn't know me that well,
so it was like, it was rude.
He knew me, but he didn't know me that well.
Yeah,
and he was in a group, and I said something, and he made fun of me. He wasn't.
So it was whack. It wasn't good.
There was there's a bunch of people I've known that have done real shitty things, and Eddie was just like, you smack him in the fucking face, and I was like, oh, it doesn't work like that in Hollywood. And he goes, no, that's how men work, and that's how that guy should understand that that's what happens when he talks shit like that.
Right.
And I was like, well, he wasn't talking shit like that. He was just, Eddie, it's really complicated. And he goes, no, this is what I fucking hate about Hollywood, is that you would never let a man talk to you like that, but then in Hollywood you would.
Right.
And there is a weird, but I think also,
but it's funny though. There's a lot of wisdom in that. But there's also, on the other hand, he's like, because in Tallahassee you would violently assault that person. The wisdom of Tallahassee.
That's the flip side of it, is that there is a part of that is my friends, where I go back and I hang out with them now. Some of them, not all of them, and they do shit like talk shit to strangers, which I don't do in LA. I don't think a lot of people do in LA.
Yeah.
Like
I do.
Like
I do though. I got a hair trigger. I know I look like a bitch, guys. I know that.
Are you serious?
But yeah, I have this thing, and I'm working on it. Something I've been working on for a long time, where I have this like hair trigger around being respected. That if I get like, I never start anything. Yeah. But if a person disrespects me in a way that I just can't, my mouth starts going before my brain can catch up to go like, yo, don't do that. By the way, it's bullshit and cowardly, because I guarantee you, if like a big fucking like bodybuilder looking dude started talking shit, somehow my brain would be able to stop my tongue. But if it's a person that's like, vaguely not threatening looking, then I'm just like I got a tail.
Please.
I was coming back from the airport once. This is a very funny, very stupid, exact window into my. Natasha calls it Old Moshe. That's what she calls it.
Really?
She's like, don't fucking bring Old Moshe around. I know everybody's rolling their eyes right now listening to this. They're Googling an image search of me and going like, yeah, I'm sure it's terrifying. I'm not saying it's terrifying. I'm saying it happens. Okay. I said to my friend Jacob, I go, anytime I mention the word Oakland in an argument that I'm from Oakland, I have there's something wrong happening. I'm about to like go to jail or get killed, right? Anytime somehow I'm like, you do know that I'm from, we're in a bad place. Okay. Yeah. So I was on my way back from the airport and we called an Uber. And when we made eye contact with the Uber, he kind of like, he made a face, and I should have known at that point, like, oh, there's something up, because the dude, he's a big gangly, like, he looks like a professor, but he's very tall, like college, like basketball player tallness, but like 60 years old, professor of like jazz looking dude or whatever. And he kind of rolls his eyes at us, and I should have just like paid attention to that cue, but I just didn't. I jumped in, and we had just watched Drugstore Cowboy with Hoffman and is Redford?
No. It's Angelina Jolie's dad.
Oh yeah, John Voight and Dustin Hoffman for the first time. I'd never seen it before. So we were sitting in the back seat, and he's kind of puffing a little bit, but not enough to really notice, the driver.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, Natasha and I are talking about Drugstore Cowboy. We're processing it. I'd never seen it before. And we're like kind of, just discussing, what was it? Like, was that a homosexual love affair, or were they not? Or like were they in love with each other? Or did he, like, what really was going on? We're just really talking about, like, deconstructing the film from our perspective as having never seen, you've seen it, of course.
I get that, and Midnight Cowboy.
They are super confusing. Yeah. It's about, like, John Voight moves to New York, and he's like a big old cowboy looking dude. And he like,
meets Dustin Hoffman,
who's like a street hustler. Yeah. And like, he like starts, John Voight's like turning gay tricks. He's like selling himself in a gay way, but he's not gay. It's this whole, it's really a great movie.
Oh, maybe I have. They were gay in Midnight Cowboy too, right? Or is that?
That's Hats on the Bed.
No, I'm thinking of.
I'm thinking Midnight Cowboy. Maybe that's what it's called.
No, Midnight Cowboy's got Matt Dillon in it.
Wait, are you sure we're not?
No, Drugstore Cowboy is what you're thinking, and I'm also mixing up the River Phoenix movie. Where he was blowing the guy in the opening scene.
Oh, that's a roughie.
Yeah.
That's a rough blowjob.
Yeah, turn that on in college and be like, I'm a big River Phoenix fan. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't know which, is that, what movie is that? Anyway, that's a rough blowjob scene. That is one of the, and now what you're thinking, guys, not a good rough blowjob scene. Not the new fun modern bang bus rough blowjob, but a rough emotional blowjob. Anyway, so we're driving back and we're, are they gay, blah, blah. We're just like really kind of, he starts like puffing a little bit, and we're getting into my neighborhood, and I'm like, he kind of gets into the wrong lane. I'm like, oh, this is the right lane. If you just stay here, you'll be able to go straight through. A little hard breathe. And I'm like, okay, this dude. We get to my corner. We're at my corner. This is the problem with Uber, is like they're driving you to your home. Your home address. I'm gonna start putting in a fake address. You know what I mean?
Drop them down the street.
Yeah,
like Pretty in Pink.
Exactly. Another great prostitution movie. No, I was thinking Pretty Woman. Pretty in Pink, totally different movie. Okay, Molly Ringwald. So I go. Then I swear to God, there's no antagonistic thing happening with me and this guy. I just go, oh, you can turn left here, actually. The entrance to my house isn't on the street that the address is on. It's on the next street. I go, you can turn left here. The entrance is right there. He's like, yeah, I'm going to turn. He's blowing it. I'm going to turn left. That's what it tells me to do. I'm doing what it's telling me to do. And I go, okay, you can stop the car right now. We're getting out right now. And he's like, fine. And he slams on the brake in the middle of the road. And I open the door in the middle of the road to like, I'm getting out, like, we're getting the fuck out of here. And I probably even said, like, we're getting the fuck out of here. Let me out. And we start getting out. And he's like, I'm pulling over into my driveway. And I'm like, and then we start like going like, no, you're not pulling over. Just give me the fuck out of here. You this. And then I'm like, pop the trunk, dude. I'm getting my bag and getting the fuck out of here. And I know what I did to elevate it. Things are crazy.
Yeah.
I pop out my phone and I'm just like, record, and I'm like, what? He called me like a dipshit or he swore.
Yeah.
And I'm like, click, start recording. I'm like, what'd you just say to me? Yeah. And he's immediately like, I didn't tell you anything. And I go, pop the trunk, you're getting fired. I'm like narrating it all World Star style, like, this motherfucker getting fired today, boy. And he's like, I'm not giving you your bag. I'm not giving you your bag. And I'm like, I'm apoplectic. Natasha's like, old Moshe, no.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, open the fucking gate, open the trunk. And he's like, you go inside, I'll give it to your wife. I'm like, Natasha's like 9 months pregnant, by the way. I'm like, I'm not leaving you alone with my pregnant wife, you fucking psycho. Open the trunk. And he's like, I'm calling the cops. I'm like, calling the cops for what? I'm trying to leave right now.
Yeah.
He gets on his phone, walks away, pop the trunk. I'm saying to Natasha, 9 months pregnant. I'm gone. I'm no longer a human being. I'm like, Natasha, get in the car, pop the trunk for me.
Yeah.
9 months pregnant.
9
And
months
she's like,
pregnant.
fuck you, dude. Fuck you, old Moshe. I'm getting a divorce.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ugh. I dive into the car. I reach over. I pop the trunk. He sees me. Of course, he's no longer human either, right?
Yeah.
He's like, neither of us are operating in a real world scenario. He's like, why does he want my bag? Why is
Yeah.
he, what is the cops for? What are they going to do? Whatever. He sees me in his car and pop in the trunk. He freaks out, runs over, slams the car down. I'm like, I'm about to beat this dude's ass. No, let's be accurate. I'm thinking it's more like in reality, I'm about to like get into a tussle and probably like get a chin checked by a 9 foot tall basketball. But I do think I could have taken this guy. He looked like he had health issues. He had like pacemaker wires, or there's something happening with him where I feel like I could have killed him. But we're screaming at each other and back and forth, and Natasha's trying to mediate, you know, and he's like, get on the curb. So I'm like, you know, getting on the curb, and he finally, I don't know why or how, but he pops the trunk. He gives my bags to Natasha, and I go, all right, we're going inside now. Get the fuck off my property, bitch. And he's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm waiting for the cops. And I'm like, the cops? I'm leaving. What are you gonna tell the cops? He's like, I'm gonna tell the cops that you're an asshole. I'm like, oh yeah, they'll come in and APB on asshole PB. And he goes, I'm gonna tell him that. And I'm walking away talking shit. And he goes, and I'm gonna tell him that you didn't understand the plot to Midnight Cowboy. I swear to God.
Are you serious?
True story. And I just go, in my mind, I'm like, okay, you win. Like, on so many levels as a comedian, like, you win. Like, I honor what you have done right now.
That's the best way. And I'm gonna explain. You don't understand the plot to Midnight Cowboy.
Hey, Mr. Kasher, yeah, do you have any sharp objects in your pocket? Yeah, just reach behind your back here. We did get a report that you don't understand the plot to Midnight Cowboy, that you thought it was maybe they were in love with each other, and that maybe you're not really a deep thinker when it comes to classic cinema. Yeah, that was me.
Are you homophobic?
That was so crazy.
Were you thinking of Drugstore Cowboy?
What an amazing parting line from a man who's barely in touch with it. He's so angry. He's like me, so angry he's like become like a feral child of testosterone. To be able to pull that at the very last second, I honor you, sir.
One of my flaws is hearing a story and then going, I have a story like that. That's one of my flaws.
Is that a flaw? I love that.
It's a flaw a little bit, but I will tell you this is very short. But I had it wasn't a one night stand because I knew her very well. We worked together. She was a waitress at a comedy club I worked at. Mm-hmm. And
which one? We might have been with the same lady. Don't say it.
So we had one night we had masturbated in front of each other.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, and it was fun, and we partied, and then
that's a consensual classic.
It really was. It was really cool. We listened to Ani DeFranco. There's a candle in the middle. We were drinking wine.
I don't know if a man is legally allowed to masturbate in front of a woman when Ani DeFranco's playing. I think there's actually a loophole that you can't do that.
It was pretty fucking hot. And then we didn't hook up again. And then like 2 months later, we're partying again, and she was like, let's go back to your house. I was in a different apartment, so it must be more than 2 months. I was in a different apartment. And so it must have been a while because not only was I in a different apartment, this is probably a year later. A year later, we hook up again one night, and we go back to my apartment, and my roommate, Weicho, and his girlfriend, Alex, our rooms, there was a door that our beds were against that was the part of the wall that separated our rooms. Yeah. And so we go in, we start to have sex, and I have an orgasm like within maybe 10, 15 seconds.
Oh, because Weicho's so close.
No,
like, feel his touch.
It was just I hadn't had
one of those
sex.
nights.
By the way, it's pretty regular for me.
Okay, great.
Like that, anytime I had sex with them for the first time, it happened right away. And by the way, I knew this person for a couple years. I mean, and I always hung out with her. We were really good friends, and I have an orgasm really quick. and I start giggling, and she immediately gets angry. I mean, we might have been doing coke, and she goes, "Are you fucking serious?" And
She's
I go,
mad at you. What can you do?
and I go, "I'm sorry," and she goes, "Are you fucking serious?" And I was like, "Hey." In my head, I'm about to say, calm down. We're going to do this again.
Right.
Just give me a second and we'll go back at it.
Right.
Like, I'm not done. And she was like, fucking bullshit. Like really angry. And I'm like, hey, for real, you got to calm down. This is going to happen again. And she goes, I remember her saying this, you need to read a book or get online and learn how to fuck. And I went,
Jesus Christ. Brutal.
And I was like, hey, I go, don't talk to me like that. Like, and I remember saying, you're not my girlfriend. Like, I'm not your boyfriend. You can't treat someone like that.
That's crazy.
Like, we're friends. And she's like, this is fucking ridiculous. I can't believe I missed the fucking train and I fucking came over here and we didn't even party. We just came in here. It's like, by the way, it's like probably 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. And she's like, this is fucking ridiculous. You better fuck me again. And I go, I'm not fucking.
Oh, yeah.
And I go, as a matter of fact.
This date ended a while ago.
I go, as a matter of fact, you're going home.
Yeah.
And she goes, I'm not going fucking home. And I go, you are. Because listen, I have 2 roommates in there that have to work tomorrow. And you're being rude and disrespectful. And I don't want to fucking talk to you like this. And by the way, still have the condom on. I'm now standing up. Semen in the condom.
Nice full bunch. Like a heavy diaper right now it is.
And I go, get your shit together. And now she starts kicking the walls and the door.
Oh my God.
Like waking them up. I said, get your shit together and you're leaving. And I walked into the kitchen. I go in, I grab a Budweiser, and I sit up, my butt against the sink. I'm still naked.
The condom's still on?
Condom's still on. Okay. My buddy Weecho walks out.
Hey, what's up, Weecho?
Sees me. It's 4 in the morning. Sees me. And I go, she'll be gone in a second. And he's like, okay. Walked back into the room. She walks out and she's got all her clothes on. She's like, I can't believe this is fucking happening. I can't believe you're making me go get a taxi at 4 in the fucking morning. I go, it didn't have to be this way. And she goes, you cannot fuck for shit. And I go, you're totally right. And I start walking her to the door. I open the door. She walks to the threshold of the door. She goes, this is fucking ridiculous. Am I really going home? And I go, yeah. And she goes, you didn't fuck me at all. And I have to go home. You have the fucking weak ass fuck, and I have to go home. And I start giggling. And I go, you know what though? I came and you didn't. And I go, no. I win. And she looks at me and goes to throw a punch and goes, huh, and stops like a flinch. I go, huh, and I go, huh, and the beer splatters all over me. My dick with the condom goes up in the air, and we both start laughing hysterically. Both of us are then immediately friends. I go, fuck off, and I shut the door in her face.
That's amazing.
And then she went, I was on the 6th floor. She went down the stairs, hitting every door, going, Bert Kreischer can't fuck.
Oh my God.
Bert Kreischer can't fuck. And I was on Cornelia Street, right in front of Poe, yelling, Bert Kreischer can't fuck. And I was like, oh my God. I told Tony Woods that story, and Tony Woods is like, don't ever tell anyone that story again.
That's a great story.
But it was at that moment where she went to throw a punch.
That's very funny.
And I flinched so hard, and she saw me.
That reminded me of a story. Should we keep doing this?
Yeah. That's a great podcast, by the way.
Story
toppers.
Yeah. I just won't top that because that's, oh man, that's good. I love that.
But it's not as good as the guy. And I'm going to tell him you don't understand the plot of Midnight Cowboy.
Well, that's the best line.
Yeah.
Of these 2 stories, but your story, I mean, the idea of you with a full condom on with beer splurting on your, I mean, there's a lot going on there. All right. Okay, when I first moved to LA, I hooked up with this girl, this like real intense, like goth kind of looking girl. Like
I'd imagine you'd have a boatload of those in your life.
Oh, I had a lot of fun, but this was like a Hollywood kind of glam rock kind of, like Hollywood Boulevard type of like lady, tragic drug person. I'm a sober dude, but I'm just like, this girl's so hot. Yeah, let's do it. So we go home. And she is we're making out or whatever, and I'm smoking clove cigarettes at the time because I'm with a goth girl, I guess. And she's like, yeah, put that out on me. And I'm like, oh, I don't. I mean, I'm into some freak. I'm not trying to like actually. She's like, come on, put it out on me, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not. And I kind of like kind of play the game. I'm like kind of like teasing it at her, but I'm not gonna like fucking stub a cigarette out on this chick. Like that's going a little far. And we keep kind of hooking up, and she's like, all right, I want you to spank me, and I'm like, oh, no problem. And she's like, no, I want you to. Like, it's getting to an area where I'm like, I'm a freak, but we're going to I'm getting uncomfortable here. And she's hooking up with me, and she kind of like is going down on me a little bit. And it's like, ow, stop. And she's like, what? I'm like, that hurts. Whatever you're doing to my balls is like, it's painful. And she's like, it's painful. I'm Sting. I'm in a band called The Police. And she's like, oh, whatever. And then she keeps doing it, and she keeps like hurting me. And I look down at my balls, and she's like biting them and stuff. And I look down, and it's there's like a contusion, like a blister, a big bulge.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And I'm like, oh, and I'm sorry, it wasn't me that looked down. She looks down, and she sees this like contusion looking thing on my balls, and she goes, what is this? In that way that like if you had an STD, that would be what the person would say, like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? You've been assaulting me. You've been chewing on me. You think this is somehow I'm dirty and brought this to the table? You've been like vampirically like hurting me. And like whatever, night over, and we end it, and she like texts me the next day or calls me the next day. It's texting, and she's like, oh, that was fun. I'd like to do it again. And I go, look, I had fun too, but I just feel like maybe like the physical pain stuff, like I think maybe you play a little harder than I want to, and like I just I don't know if I can do that again, that level of like physical pain. And she's like, okay, then cool, we won't hang out. No, like I'ma dial it back. No, like, oh, it's not a problem. We can. It was like, if you're not there to get your balls fucking hurt and contused and hit me and put out cigarette butts on my back, it ain't happening again, chump. Moshe Kasher can't fuck.
I can't. Oh, I have nothing even remotely close to that. I'm so tame sexually.
Is that true?
Oh, 100%.
Well, I mean, by the way, that's not a story about me being a freak. That's a story about me meeting a freak.
No, but I mean, I've only had 6 partners.
No.
Yeah, and that girl, that one night stand's one of them.
Whoa, you had 6?
Yeah. I just
Oh my God.
I have a problem turning it off. So like I get you into my bedroom.
Yeah.
And I could hang out, but I can't switch it over.
What do you mean? You fall in love easily?
No, I fall in love very easily. Very easily. Yeah, and but I have a hard time turning into sexy guy. Like it's because it's not natural to me.
Right.
I don't know if I was like I mean I know that you would definitely know, but I don't think I was like molested or anything, or I don't know, but something happened to me as a child where being serious wasn't like rewarded or something. Because I have a hard time being like, I dated a couple girls, dated them. This is gonna sound really fucking bad. I dated 2 girls I can think of that I never kissed.
Shut up.
That I dated, and then I didn't kiss on the first night because that's not who I am.
Yeah.
And the second night it didn't happen. By the third night, now the pressure's on. That didn't happen because I fucking started freaking out and I got too drunk. 4th night, I'm like, fuck, I don't even know what this is. 5th night, we're going to a date function, and that doesn't happen there. And then all of a sudden, I'm like 7 dates in, and I haven't kissed him, and I'm like, I got to break up with him.
Oh, you don't mean you had sex and didn't kiss him. You mean you guys never even got to a kiss.
Because I couldn't. The first kiss for me was such a fucking mountain to climb. To shut down and be like,
right, because you'll come immediately when you kiss a woman. Yeah, right. I mean, that's you. You'll have a condom full of Bert.
Dude, I had a girl in high school one time. This was like a story I shared with my friends, which is a big motherfucking mistake. I had a girl in high school one time. In high school, I think I was a pretty good first kisser.
Yeah.
I think I was good at that. I think so. I'm
gonna go ahead and weigh in and say probably not.
No. Here's the thing. My first sexual experience was really traumatic.
Oh, really?
But not like traumatic like anyone who had trauma in their life. But I just didn't do it right.
Humiliating or something.
Humiliating.
Yeah,
I just didn't do it
sure.
right, and I fucked up, and then all of a sudden I started regressing. Like I don't want to. And then I had a girlfriend for like 5, and then right after that I had a girlfriend for 5 years. She slept with my best friend. And then after that point is when I dated a couple girls and I didn't even kiss them.
That's intense.
And dude had like really great dates. There was this one girl brought over to my house and we painted pictures together and we drank red wine and we hung out on the roof. Everything was there and I just couldn't pull the trigger.
It is hard, that first moment of like, we're going from not physical to physical. It's a trip though. We're so the opposite, you know, because I immediately just assumed you were thinking like I had a couple of girls that I slept with but never kissed, because I have so many people in my life, and I mean so many, who I could see them in the room. I could be podcasting with them right now that I have had sex with that I would not know who they were.
Are you serious?
100%. I mean, so many might have been an exaggeration. Definitely at least 10 people. I could have them in the room with me, and just like, literally, there's no possibility that I would know who they were.
Really?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. And a much bigger number of people who I don't know their name. I mean, I just have no idea I would recognize them vaguely and I'd be like, oh yeah. But I mean.
What a great TV show. Have you had sex with this person?
That is funny. It's like a panel of 3,
and they bring out 10 people, and if you can guess all the people you've had sex with, you win $1 million.
That's very funny.
And they just bring out bros, like hardcore bros. They're like, bring out Johnny, you fuck tons of chicks. Oh, I bang pussy, son. And they're like, really? All right.
What about this person?
And you do it at spring break. You do it like as an MTV show.
That's very
And they bring
funny.
up all the people he's had sex with.
Almost is an MTV show.
It seems like it would be.
Yeah, it seems like it definitely could be.
Copywritten by Moshe and Bert right now. I would love to, by the way, I would probably drop my touring to produce that show. Do you know how much fun that show would be?
It would be so insane. I mean, the problem is you would have to get people. You have to find enough people that are like horrifying sluts that they've forgotten people.
It's all guys.
Yeah, right.
It's all guys. You can't.
Right. Yeah, right. The gender dynamics would be a little weird if it's like a girl is like, I think I did fuck you in a blackout. It's like, this got creepy quick.
Yeah. It's got to be all guys. But yeah. So how could you like? This is my biggest question. How did you have sex sober?
That's such a disturbing question, Bert. That is hilarious that you don't even know how.
I don't think. I mean,
that is not a question that you should ask. I mean, that should be a question on the Alcoholics Anonymous pamphlet. Have you ever said to yourself, how could someone have sex sober?
Yeah.
Well,
with a stranger?
I mean, that's funny. I've only had sex sober. I had sex one time before I stopped drinking. Really? And I was, 15. How old were you when you lost your virginity?
17.
Okay, yeah, normal age. I guess I was 15. It's not crazy.
That's not bad.
But then I got sober after that, and every single sexual experience I've ever had has been as a sober person. But I was also like really into raves when I was in a young person. Like I was about 16 years old. I started going to raves very, very heavily, like sober, but was like super in that scene, like every weekend, that was my whole world. And that was like this strange world of free love that I like stumbled into. Like you read my book, so like when I was even younger than that, when I was 15, I like thought of myself as this kind of I was like a little like a white wannabe, like horrible, gross white rappery kind of person, and like just the worst kind of little shithead that you could ever meet ever. And then I got sober, and I had to kind of leave those dudes, like you were talking about. Like there's a certain mentality of some of the guys. Some of the people I grew up with are lovely people now, but some of them are like, prison-y, kind of just whatever. Just I had to just leave it behind. I also had to leave the music behind, because I was like a gangster rap guy growing up, and so I stumbled into this at about 9 months sober, the rave world, and it was just such a loving, like free love. We all have sex with each other. We hug. We don't nobody's a thug here. Nobody wants to be a thug. And it was just like this really transformative experience where I became softer as a person. I became more this person than I was the person that is here now is much more influenced by that scene than it was by the drug stuff that happened before.
That's so interesting. Keep going.
It's weird, right? Because it was a drug world. Everybody was on drugs but me. I mean, everybody. And I was pretty much the youngest person there. And it's not like it's an old scene, but it was like people were 18, 19, 20, and I was 16. And I found this thing. I mean, I have like a theory about it that's a little more sincere, which is that like when I was growing up, I was in so much I was so frightened and so alone and so isolated by my circumstances, you know, like only white kid in black schools, only hearing kid in deaf family, only, you know, I'm in these only sane person in mental hospitals, you know, there all this kind of thing, like where I just was like so isolated and alone that I became, you know, the people that I found were other kids that were just like that. You know, that's the most typical story of a wayward youth possible. It's like you feel alone, so you find a gang of kids that are also alone, and you stop being alone together, but usually through a really toxic kind of like gross form of like machismo and violence. And there's a ton of that in my early childhood, and which is where Old Moshe comes from. You know, Old Moshe is really just like the last wisps, the fumes of whatever terrible traumatic lessons I learned when I was a kid, going like, that's what I'm saying. I become, that's what I mean when I say I'm from Oakland, is a marker that like I've regressed to a 12-year-old. I mean, I'm aware of how I look. I'm aware I'm not a tough guy. I get it. Yeah. But there's some little part way back in the fucking muscle memory where, Oakland, son, it's just like nobody cares. So I go to the rave scene, and all of us, so I think of it like a pendulum, right? Like it was all the way in this like disgusting world of like gangster rap is all I listened to. West Coast gangster rap, never loved a hoe, never would. Oh, Dito, you know, you got to bust a nut and bounce. I'm 15. I've never had sex.
You're like Casper from Kids.
Exactly. Kids was like watching, I didn't even enjoy it as a film because it felt like I was watching I swear to God,
for real.
I felt like I was watching my childhood. It was just like, except that they were like more sexual and the things they were doing were kind of cooler. They were going to raves, you know, because it's New York City and not Oakland. But I swear to God, it felt like I'm just watching me and my friends growing up. So then I go to the rave scene. I'm all the way over here on this pendulum of like, you know, this sort of toxic form of like, you know, masculinity, and in a bad way. I like masculinity, but it's this form is like filled with violence and filled with grossness. And then I found the rave scene where the whole thing, I don't know if have you ever been to a...
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You know, the whole idea is like, it's very interesting. It's like the men are very feminized, right? Like if you're a raver, not if you're a dude going to a rave, but if you like get into the scene, like all the men become very feminine. You know, you wear, especially at the time in the early 90s, it was not as mainstream. So it was like there was, you know, it's more of an underground scene where the guys would wear glitter in their hair. They would, you know, they put barrettes in their hair. They would do these like very feminine and more to the point, very childish, like very baby,
like binky,
straight up pacifiers, because they're on ecstasy. I, by the way, had a pacifier, never did ecstasy. The only reason I have a pacifier in the rave scene is to like not grind your teeth. I did it because I thought it was cool. So,
oh my God,
FYI. So that a very infantilized version, and like in a way it's kind of silly, you know. Like I would see people from the old days, or my brother, or people that knew me, and they're just like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, all of a sudden I go from this like wayward rehab kid to like bleach blonde hair, barrettes in my hair, glitter. I was that kid,
really,
and. You know, I got these dudes coming out. I remember very clearly my friend Joey, who passed away actually due to some of the insanity of that old lifestyle. He's dead now, but he came up to me. He goes, I was working on Telegraph Avenue by UC Berkeley campus in a bear costume. This was my job. I was a mascot, and I was passing out flyers in front of this store called Bear Basics. And I would go to a rave all night, and then I would go like cracked out and put this bear costume on and pass out flyers. And I was smoking. I was a smoker. I would take my helmet off, and I would be smoking. And little kids would walk by with like a mascot with. They'd be like, "Why is this bear smoking?" I'm like, "I'm smoking the bear, kid. Walk on." And Joey comes up to me and goes, "Hey, blood, man, blood. Hey, fools are saying you gay, blood. They saying you gay. Hey, you want me to beat their ass?" Do you want me to beat them up?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I'm in this other world. I'm like, no, everything is good. I'm like, Joey, come on. Who cares if I am? But I think of it like I was in this pendulum of like the gross version of who I was, and I needed to go all the way over into this cartoon version of like, you know, bitch boy, you know, of like child and glitter boy, and like in order to finally as an adult come back to like, it's all trauma swings, you know.
That's interesting. I wonder if everyone deals with that
in some it's you probably usually not that like insane a stark dichotomy of like, you know, wannabe gangster into like, you know, candy raver. But that's literally was the swing, the cultural swing that I went through. And what I found there in the rave scene was like, you know, a lot of like warm kind of lovingness, and also tons of sex and sexuality. Tons of everybody fucked everybody in the rave scene. So when I was 16 and I first started going to raves, it was just like, oh my God, like I can fuck anybody. Anybody can fuck. I mean, I'm talking like insane. Like the amount of sexuality that happened when I got to that scene was like a fucking deluge. Like you could fuck anybody.
See, that was not the rave scene in Tallahassee.
Is that right? I'm sure it was.
You would go to these clubs that were open late, and we were frat boys. We were legit frat boys.
This, by the way, this is the early 90s, like, and no offense to frat boys everywhere, they weren't even up on it. There would be no frat boy there, not because they wouldn't be allowed. Anybody could go. They never would have even heard about it.
Well, raving, so when I got to Tallahassee in 91, ecstasy was still legal.
Uh-huh. Oh wow! Yeah, right. Interesting.
So it was legal in the. Let me rephrase that. It was legal in the when we had gotten there. They had stories of it being legal, of them being able to give MDMA to people at this club called Floyd's, maybe. And so they had this chair where they'd give it to you in it, and then
really, that's very funny.
We were like, I was like, whoa, and there was talk about it, but no one knew what it was. We were all weed. Mushrooms, that was like our big thing. Mushrooms were super easy to get in Tallahassee because it rained. Once it rained, everyone got mushrooms.
Because it's all marshy and stuff.
It's all
in Florida.
cows.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mushrooms were insanely easy to get in Tallahassee.
It's interesting that you were so experimental with drugs and not with sex. That's kind of interesting.
I'm still not experimental with drugs.
Is that right? Okay.
I had a couple bad. I was when I was really, really young, and then I had a couple bad experiences with weed.
Yeah.
Where I had panic attacks and spun out 2 back to back. And after that, I was like, I'm done with weed. Stopped smoking weed when I was, I guess the first one was probably when I was 16. Second one was when I was 16. Didn't smoke weed again until I got to college. And I got to college, I met this really fucking amazing chick. Once again, didn't hook up with her, but really awesome chick. And we did whippets all day in a grocery store.
Whippets are fun.
And not even whippets. We were just doing the fucking through the
whipped cream.
Yeah. And we're walking up and down the grocery store doing those, and then I smoked weed with her and I had a good time. And so I was always cautious with weed. I was always cautious with weed or with anything. I might tell this joke in the story in my hour, but my advice to my kids would be, when it comes to drugs, just take half. Like you don't need to overdo it. Like just wait, see if you like it.
Have I told you my entrepreneur idea?
No.
I have 2 drug entrepreneur ideas for the recently legalized marijuana world. One is called One Dose Brownies, and it's a brownie that you eat the whole brownie, and that's the amount that it takes to get you high. Not like you pack in like a 97th of a brownie, and you're like, I'll try that, and then wait. How about I'm gonna make pop brownies, then I'm gonna cut a square out of the brownie, connect it to a regular brownie, and then you just say, eat the brownie, get high. That's our motto. One Dose Brownies. Eat the brownie, get high.
Here's the problem. What's the dosage on that?
That is one dose, one brownie.
No, but what's the dose? How many milligrams of marijuana?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I know very little about marijuana dosage, and I am not an entrepreneur, and this probably isn't going anywhere.
No, but here's the brilliant thing about that is that I as a pot smoker, edibles scare me. I've got to do a podcast tonight at like 6:00 with Josh. It's not even a podcast. It's called a Twitch. I don't know. I don't really understand.
Oh, you're playing video games?
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, cool.
But we get high, and I'm sick, and so I'm
who?
Josh Wolf.
Oh, okay.
And he wants to get high and drunk, and I'm like, I'm sick. I was like, and I have these edibles, and they're these little blueberries, and each serving is 2 milligrams. And in my head, I know Joey takes 1,000 milligrams. So
Joey Diaz?
But I would gladly, you could sell me 2 milligrams of THC for the same price you sell Joey 500 milligrams for THC.
Yeah.
Because I would gladly...
You need a Bert dose.
Yeah, I would gladly get the one that works for me.
Yeah.
And pay the exact same price as the one that works for that guy. That's not a bad idea. Chelsea Handler, by the way, who I make a joke about my special, but I really do love her. I really do.
What's the joke? Oh, you don't want to say yet?
No, I think I call her cunt. But but it's not... but it's a joke. It's just... I don't mean it, but whatever. It was... Just, I heard she's difficult to work with.
Okay.
But I love Chelsea Handler. I don't know her at all. Never even met her. But I follow her on Instagram. I love her. She's coming out with a weed where it just gets you high enough to take the edge off the day.
Well, that's my other idea. It's not quite that, but it's very similar. It's weed that they, by the way, I don't know if this is possible. It's where they start making a strain of weed that is so mellow, not just high wise, but also inhaling wise, that you can smoke 20 of them a day and they're for people trying to quit smoking cigarettes. And so you just smoke. It's called 20 joints a day. Eat the whole brownie. No, and that's my other idea. Is the quitting smoking, the pot smoker's guide to quitting smoking.
I'm telling you when I say this, those are not bad ideas. Like,
thank you. You're the first person to tell me that.
Yeah, but I have a lot of really bad ideas.
Yeah, most people tell me they are bad.
I'm looking for a low grade cocaine infused tea.
Hilarious.
Because I really want. Cocaine was probably one of the most enjoyable feelings I've ever had in my life.
What about that? Those leaves that the natives.
Cocoa leaves? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Hook me up.
Well, what do you mean hook you up?
I don't.
Nobody sell, because by the time they get anywhere here, it's coke.
Yeah, no one's moving the leaves. It's just as illegal as the cocaine.
Go to South America on a trip.
I would love to.
Don't people down there just chew on those leaves all the time?
Yeah, all day long.
Yeah.
I watched a documentary on Netflix, oddly enough, about making cocaine, and I was fascinated by how to make it. That would be something that I would enjoy as a hobby, is making cocaine. But what
a
was
weird hobby?
I'm going through today. I was like, today I'm in this place in the business where I'm like not a little lost, but I just things get very complicated. I think I'm sure you know that at certain levels of your career, things get more and more complicated.
Sure.
And you have less people that you trust and less people that you can confide in and less people and then you feel more alone. And
for sure.
Today I was going for a run. I saw a guy building a fence and I thought, very candidly, how great is that? I wish I had that simplicity in my life where I just knew, today I'm building a fucking fence.
Meanwhile, that dude's like, I got a fucking development deal at ABC. Cling, cling. Dude, I'm building this fence to try to get me away from my Hollywood dreams. Cling.
Well, I thought that at the beginning of my jog. I see him building the fence.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's got to be great. No notes. No fucking agents, no managers. I just go in, I got the goods, I build the fence, I come home, get done at the end of the day, looks good, beers, and I'm not up at night thinking about that fence.
Yep, it's like, and no more, beyond the notes, it's like, it's this hedonic treadmill, by the way, I'm looking at a treadmill as I say that, of ego. That's the real problem.
I'm having a hard time with Instagram stories right now because everything is subliminal branding. I can't. Everything is me trying to put my best foot forward. Mm-hmm. It's me. Like I did a hashtag today, subliminal branding, because I did a video of me making my daughter's breakfast, which I never fucking do.
Yeah,
I never get up early and make my daughter's breakfast and pack their lunches and get them to school. But I do a video of it, and in the middle of doing the video, I go, "This is bullshit. This is not who I am. Like I should give my phone to my daughters." And have them go, Dad woke up early and took NyQuil. He's back in bed. And so I'm having a hard, on my jog, I was like, I should record this jog? Why? What is interesting about my jog? It's interesting when I see other people do it. I know that when I watch Cameron Haynes go for a run and go, it's a beautiful day, it inspires me, right? I'm not inspiring shit. No one looks at me, they're just going, oh, Bert wants us to know that, yeah, he drinks a lot, but he's still healthy. You know what?
That's so funny you say that, because, whatever, I'm over here watching you as a friend and as just a peer. I'm like, oh, Bert's got this, great kind of, vibe of, whipping his fan base into, not necessarily that I think they're running the LA Marathon too, but just this kind of like I said, this community that you've created around you and your fans and stuff like that, which I'm slightly jealous of. I like that idea of but it's funny to hear you talk about it you're just trying to keep up with your own ego's Joneses in the exact same way. I did a thing. I turned my mentions off on everything a long time ago. I turned my mentions off on Twitter two years ago. I haven't seen a mention in forever.
I turned off. Keep going on this. I don't mean to cut you off, but I turned off all my notifications on my phone.
Oh yeah.
That's why I didn't get your text about my address until 15 minutes later, because I was in the pool and and it made my life amazing.
Oh my god.
No notifications.
Oh my god.
Keep going about mentions.
Turn off the mentions. It's you level up. I don't know about you. I leveled up on 90 degrees of happiness. I would be, and the other thing I stopped doing, this is interesting, and this is all Natasha. She gets full credit for this, is I stopped penetrating her. She started penetrating me, and that's been really nice. No, the other thing I stopped doing was I used to think it was a part of my brand or whatever to get into it with people online. That was part of my brand, is I would go back and forth with you. I would clown you. You're up against a professional, and you just retweet them and go to war with people. And two things happened. One is, well, first of all, Trump got elected and the tone switched.
Yeah.
And I don't blame Trump for that, but I blame like the toxicity of what happened to this country politically, like made the tone shift to it was like, you're a bitch, I hate you. It turned into, I know you live in LA, I know where you and your wife live, I'm gonna find you.
Yeah.
From like, I go back and forth, ha ha ha, I'm a professional, I'm gonna find you. And then it's like, oh, you definitely win.
Yeah.
You know, when you're saying I'm going to find you, like, you've won the...
Jimmy Kimmel just fucking quit that fight. He was like, nah, you're threatening my kids. I'm over. I apologize. I'm so sorry.
Exactly. I would so much rather be someone thinking like, I just turned that dude into a bitch than have that guy show up at my... Not that it probably would happen, but it's just like, when I start thinking, do I want to buy a German Shepherd or a gun? It's like, because of what? Because I'm like, my brand is argument. So you just saw my dog, and I just bought 2 guns. Yeah, no, it's fucking scary.
That fucking exact reason of like you don't. There are people that resent. I don't mean to cut you off because I want to hear what you have to say. But there's people that don't like what you put out. Even me. I'm not. I don't talk shit. I'm not political. I have a good time. I like to drink. I like to fucking challenge myself, run a marathon, do the Tough Mudder, do the Spartan race next weekend. But there are people that makes them angry.
Yeah.
And so still I'm like, fuck it. There's a gun in the house, babe. If I'm not here, you fucking kill them.
Yeah.
And I got that dog. That dog was my one dog sleeps in bed with my oldest daughter. My other dog sleeps in bed with my youngest daughter. And
I get it, dude. I mean, I really do get it. And like, we're vulnerable. I don't even want to talk about this, but we're vulnerable in a way that most entertainers really aren't.
Because you don't know that someone knows you.
Yeah.
I saw Brent Morin yesterday walking across the street. Brent Morin's a comic I've known for fucking 5 years. I saw him walking across the street and I just didn't recognize him. I wasn't paying attention, and he touched me.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it was him.
Right.
And I thought, oh my God. And then I realized it was him. I called him and he was like, yeah, it was me, asshole.
That's
you were saying you're about
the second thing.
Yeah, the second thing.
So that happened. Yeah. I started to notice that like the interactions were getting a little more intense, and way more intense than they weren't. It wasn't like I had a hate mail section on my website. I'm telling you, it was like, I thought it was like a part of who I was. Mm-hmm. But once it got into this zone of like feeling scared, like literally, I was like, I don't have any time for that. But the other thing was, Natasha started pointing out that like, I would start an argument with someone thinking like, oh, this is my brand, I'm having a good time. I start at like 10 in the morning. All day I'd be replying to some fucking freak in some like the middle of nowhere who's having a great time, going back and forth with a comedian that he likes and or hates, which by the way, we've all had that too. It's like, you bitch, you bitch, you bitch. And then you're like, fuck you. And they're like, dude, I'm a big fan. What happened?
Yeah.
But more to the point, I'm just like wasting my life away with these strangers on like, so I stopped commenting. So that I turned my notifications all the way off. And Natasha pointed out like, you're wasting your life away, and I heard that as the truth, and I stopped. I haven't responded to a comment on the internet that wasn't like fun or a friend in a long time. I feel so much freer, so much better. Like, just I can't even. There's no comparison.
Someone introduced me to. Someone was like, Ari has sex with chicks that he meets on Instagram.
Right.
So if you're a chick and you think Ari's attractive, you can have sex with him.
Yeah.
You just gotta find him, hit him up on Instagram in the DMs.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
DM Ari.
So part of me, like, he told me this, and I know I'm married. I know that people know I'm married. But part of me was a little like I can't believe like no one tries to fuck me. Like that no one like sends me nude pics. He just gets nude pics all the time. And I said something about that, and then someone that I knew someone texted me and go, bro, you don't reply to them. I go, what? And then I think I saw that person that night, and they were like, this is where those direct messages are. And I went, yeah, but I only got 8. And they're like, that's all the people you know. They're like, look. And then it said 99 plus. And they were like, those are all the people that you don't know. And I hit it, and there were thousands. And I went, I wish you had never shown me that.
I hear you.
And now I just can't, like, I can't look at them because I don't want to welcome that in my life.
Yeah. Yeah, you could have your producer go in once a month and delete them all permanently.
My wife reads my fan mail, like the stuff that comes through my website, and she goes, "You don't get a lot of negative ones." I go, "Hold on, I get negative ones?" She's like, "Oh, of course." And I was like, "Wait, I didn't need to know that."
Exactly. Well, that's what I was going to tell you. Is I've turned off all my mentions 2 years ago. I turned them off, and because when my show came out, there was a video that like just really caught the ire.
I'm so glad you reminded me of this.
Who like caught the ire of the alt-right, and they really like came after us. And I was just like, you know, I'm like, I'm thin-skinned. I can't deal, even if it's somebody I don't really like care about or respect. If you're hating on me, it's going to affect me. So I just turned off everything, right?
Yeah.
And then it was great, actually. I just really like was enjoying my life and able to enjoy my life. Then yesterday, the special came out, and Natasha was like, well, maybe you should undo turn the mentions back on so you can like fave tweets and stuff like that. By the way, the response to the special so far, it's early days, has been so awesome. I mean, everybody it's just been great. Like people have been, the mentions were filled with just love and positivity and people loving the special. And then, like you said, one. I'm talking like hundreds and hundreds of like, this is awesome. I love this so much. And I'm scrolling through the awesome, like cool. That's what's really fucked up about the ego is the positivity doesn't outweigh. It's like a bomb when you bomb on stage. Like, yeah, a great set feels good, but it's not like it feels as good as a bad set feels bad.
A bad one will really make you question, am I doing this for a living for real? You could make $1 million a year. I'm sharing this with Tom. Is one of the most successful comics that I know in this business right now. He had a bad set in Atlanta and called me the next day and he's like, I don't know what's going on with my career.
Yes.
Like, it really makes you question
absolutely
everything. And you can be the biggest comic, but a bad set, you're like, fuck.
Yeah. And it's not like, then you got to get a good set. And if you get a good set, it's not like you then are like, actually, I'm the king of the world. Then you're like, okay, I'm back to normal.
I'm back to normal. I need a few of these. I need a string of these.
Yeah. Dude, when I was, speaking of promiscuity, when I was single and I would have a bad set, I remember this very viscerally because, like, by the way, the Comedy Store used to be like late at night. I think did you leave when Rogan left, or were you?
No. I never.
You were always around.
Tommy, I was never there.
Oh, you weren't there because Tommy didn't pass.
I just showed up when Adam was there. I got passed.
In the Tommy days. And I'm not old school Comedy Store. I'm like literally the slice of pie between Mitzi and doing like passing people, and then Adam passing people. Okay. So like the like little slice in there. I don't know how long that was, to be honest with you.
I was there right before Mitzi left. I was there right before Mitzi left, and I auditioned in front of Mitzi. I
never did. I never even met her. That's why I felt, I love the Comedy Store so much, and it's like my home club here in LA. And I wanted to like tweet about, but I hate people that when they're you're trauma jockeying or like, I didn't know Mitzi, so I didn't have anything to say.
All I said was she was, because I put out a tweet because Paulie had, someone said, hey Bert, Mitzi passed, or like someone, a fan, and Paulie had favorited it and said, hey guys, share your thoughts, and I was like, you know what? I don't even really know Paulie. I know him. I don't think he'd recognize me.
Right.
I think he'd be like, if someone was like, "This is Bert," you remember? He'd be like, "Oh, okay, I know."
I'm sure Paulie would recognize you.
And so, he did lose his mom.
Right.
And it is the place I work, and so I wrote some tweet about like, which was all sincere, is that she was a visionary, she was a mother, she's a great woman. Yep. Paulie, I'm sorry for your loss. That's all I wrote.
That's what I tweeted too. Was just love to you, Paulie, because Paulie I do know. Whatever. The point is, the store, there was a moment in the store, really like right when I got past, where the odds on your set were like 70-30. Like there's a 30% chance you're going to have a bad, if you were going late especially, there's a 30% chance you're going to have like a bad to like really bad to mediocre to really bad set.
Yeah.
Like to the degree where like my manager would be like, oh, I want somebody to come out and see you. I know you're doing a spot at the store. And I'm like, no, we don't send people to the store. Yeah. Also like a girl who would be like, I want to come see you. No, we don't do, no. The weekend spots would be good.
That's the Laugh Factory. I'll see you at the Laugh Factory.
Yeah, exactly. The weekend spots would be good. But if you're doing like Tuesday night at like 12:15, they didn't have two shows, first of all, so it would be like somebody had gotten there the crowd got there at 8. Whoever's left at 12:15 are the people that are just too drunk to leave. Anyway, whatever. If I would have a bad set at the Comedy Store, I would all the way home be texting booty calls. Like it was pathological.
Really?
Like my bomb brain was like, you got to get laid and it'll take you out of this. So I'd be like, what's up? You up? Sup? You up? Sup? You up? And if I remember this I was just telling Natasha about this the other day. If I got to Western, which is like I'm home.
Yeah.
And no one had texted me back. I would pull over at a Winchell's there at Western in Santa Monica, and I would get like an old-fashioned buttermilk donut. If you can't get laid, you might as well have a buttermilk donut.
Dude, I had thought the other day, you had said something earlier that made me think of this.
Yeah.
And then I forgot it, and when you said that right then, I realized what it was. So I've been sick I was sick in Lexington. I flew home. I drank on Sunday, but I didn't drink Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and I ran each day, thinking like, fuck it, I can't lay in bed. It's killing me.
Yeah.
I woke up yesterday morning, and I was on my phone, and I couldn't get off my phone. I was like, there's this thing called kook slams.
Oh, dude, kook slams, that's my shit. I love kook slams. You know I surf, right?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I used to surf.
Really?
I cannot surf anymore.
Oh man, we should go surfing.
I would love to go surfing.
Dude, I will take any. I'm so bad.
I used to be okay.
You'll probably be as good as I am now, having been surfing actively for the last 2 years. Because I am so bad that with active, like 2 or 3 times a week surfing, although since the baby, it's dropped a bit.
Yeah.
But that I bet we'd be equal. But kook slams is like,
I wish if I was Tosh, I would open up my house for comics to grab boards. I would find like a side path where they could grab
is he
boards.
right there?
I think he lives on Malibu.
Uh-huh.
I think he goes out of his house and goes surfing every morning and comes home, meditates.
Danielson, if you're listening,
Daniel,
let us in.
There's so much, Daniel, I want out of your life. You've had a great success. I need you to share that.
I love the idea of Daniel Tosh not only downloading this episode, but listening all the way to this point.
Yeah.
And then being like, I'm opening up my house to these people.
I wanted to throw a surprise party at his house because he just redid his house.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to throw a surprise party at his house where me, Bill Burr, Segura, Rogan, Stanhope, Ari, Joey, everyone, a big group of comics,
and
our families, rented a bus, drove it out to Tosh's house, knocked on his door. Just like summer rental, we've got coolers, we've got beach chairs, we've got sunscreen on our nose. He opens the door and we're like, surprise!
We're coming in.
We're throwing a party at your house.
Is he very like isolated as a person?
No. I mean,
I don't know him
I think he's
well.
a regular person.
Actually, I don't know him at all. I met him once. I did his show. I did a little bit on his show many years ago, but I don't know him at all.
I mean, I don't know. I know him. I know him enough to like say hi and bullshit.
Right.
We were we hung out a couple times. But I do consider him a friend. He's a very sweet guy, and we spent a whole weekend together. And then after that, we tried to like hang out a couple times. But he's a very regular guy.
Yeah.
But I would assume that he would be into that. That something like that would make him laugh.
That's very funny.
And then everyone that knows him really well was like, no, that would not make him laugh. And that makes me think it would make him laugh even harder. And I think also
you're the king of good ideas, though, right?
Yeah. So.
Kook slams.
I was on kook slams and I couldn't stop scrolling and watching them. And I said, come on, Bert, touch that X up there. I was on Instagram and I'm like, get out of here.
Touch that X.
And I go and I hit the X, and then I thought, I know we talked about this earlier, but I've been talking about the positivity of phones. One of the positivities I see of phones is that my wife and I have a very happy relationship, and I think that is due in part to phones, to the iPhone, because we don't really have to hang out that much. We can just get on our phone. And so, like, there were a lot of girls that I'd date for 2 years, and then I'd be like, I'm done with her because I had to talk to her. And so I'm looking at it from that perspective, and I wonder if I could cut it all out. Like, no phone, no cell phone, no booze, no caffeine.
For forever?
No, just
for a while.
And just get back to Bert Kreischer at 13 years old.
But you know what you got to do that? Is you got to like go away. You have to go to the woods. I really think we all have to go to the woods. Like everybody, the whole world, but also especially people like us who are like in this battle with yourself, as if you have decided that your Hollywood aspirations are like the most important thing in the universe. I mean, not you, me. I'm talking
me too.
And I just have to like get the fuck out. I have an RV, and I just have to like start it and drive into the woods. I was just telling Natasha this recently. Like I have to leave. Like I have to, because if I'm not like physically in nature, there's something that happens to me and everybody, I think, that when you're physically in nature, it's like you're drinking water and you didn't know you were thirsty. It's just like, I gotta get out of this.
That's a really great example. That's a really great analogy, because there's so many times You're like, my back is hurting. What the fuck's wrong with me? And my wife will be like, when was the last glass of water you had? And I'd be like, whoa, fucking Thursday?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like water's my big thing lately because my back hurts. And my wife's like, you're dehydrated because you're partying. Like I'll party. I start partying on like Thursday morning at the airport. I'll get a cocktail. Cocktails on the plane, nap at the hotel. One show Thursday, drinks. Press at Friday. If they have cocktails, we have cocktails. Sleeping during the day, 2 shows.
Oh, so you're like on a fun run every weekend. You're on the road.
The problem with me, the good thing about me and the problem with me, the thing I'm having a hard time getting out of my system, which I don't look. I'm not asking for help. Anybody. I'm not looking for anyone to give me.
Now
any
you go into
ideas.
that direct message area on Instagram. They're just like, Bert, there's a helping hand here for you.
Sometimes when you say stuff, honestly, people are like, bro, I know what you're saying. And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. The good thing about me is that when I show up places, it's a party. I am the reason. I learned this very early into having kids. If I went to the party, all the parents could drink. But if I wasn't at the party or if I wasn't drinking at the party, everyone got looked down on. And so like I was the excuse for people to party. And then I'd come in and they'd be like, the second I got there, they start putting beers on the counter.
Funny.
And everyone would have a beer and they were like, Bert's here, it's our excuse. And I think it's a blessing and a curse because you go to a club and honestly, I said to Segura, what did I say to him yesterday? Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Oh, I hope I don't have to say a comic's name.
You're trying to figure out how to tell a story without saying a comic's name?
We were saying that we were talking about a comic who isn't technically that creative.
Okay.
And
got some ideas already. Go ahead.
And it's very lowbrow. I can't remember the name right now.
You can't remember the name of the person?
Of the comic we were talking about.
Are you lying?
I'm being dead serious. And I said to him...
Then I've lost my ideas.
And I said to him, I guarantee you that person thinks I do nothing but take my shirt off and drink alcohol.
That's very funny.
And he started laughing. He goes, "Oh, I guarantee it."
That's very funny.
I guarantee you they don't see. Like I've had people say to me, like their slam on me is like, all you do is get up on stage, get drunk, and tell the same story. I go, hold on 1 second. I have told that same story a lot. Every show for the past fucking 5 years, I close on that story.
Yo, that's your free bird.
Yeah, that's my free bird.
I wish I had a free bird.
And by the way, let's just for 1 second, and this is me tooting my own horn, which I don't need to do, but I'm confident in myself. But let's just say that's a fucking 13-minute story. Not every comic can go on stage and tell a 13-minute story to close their show. It's a 13 fucking minute story.
Let me just say this as a card-carrying member of the alternative comedy community. No, I'm just kidding. But I will say that I think you are fully within your rights. Not only within your rights, you would be robbing your crowd if you didn't tell that story. Dude, it's like you're the one comedian who can get away with telling a 13-minute story at the end of your act for, if you want, for the rest of your career.
Yeah.
Because that's what people... Why would you not give people what they want?
It without a question made my career.
Right.
When that story popped, it changed.
That's so interesting.
My life.
Where was it?
It was on Facebook.
It was just a clip on Facebook.
I did it on.
I've seen the clip.
I told her on Rogan the first time, and Rogan said, and you could argue that Joe's the person that changed the trajectory of my career because he said, "That's your song. That's your bit.
That's your hot pockets.
That's your thing." He goes, "You need to tell that on stage." I go, "Oh, it's not a stage story." He goes, No. You need to tell it on stage every night until it's good and work
so it
on
wasn't a stand-up bit.
No, it was a story I just told on radio. I told on this podcast, and he was like, "That's the best story I've ever heard." I was like, "Yeah, it's not a stand-up bit." He goes, "No, you can make it into one. You just have to work hard."
That's really cool.
And so starting that weekend, I was in Columbus. I told it every night on stage, and it bombed.
Did it really?
For a year and a half, it bombed.
That's awesome.
And then I figured a couple things out, and then probably like 2.5 years in, I figured out the ending. And once I got the ending, I had the confidence to tell the middle of it. And then I did it. So then I told it on my Showtime special.
And that clip.
And I put that clip. I thought everyone had seen it. Put it on Facebook just at the perfect time to put a clip up.
Right.
Randomly, December 27th.
I've gotten it forwarded to me from civilians.
Oh,
who are not in my comedy life, really. I mean, they know I'm a comedian, but I don't even forward it directly, but like their wall comes up and they go, have you seen this clip? So I'm like, that's how you know. When it goes all the way through comedy around to people you don't know and then back, that means that's a viral clip.
Dude, and then it blew up. Initially it got like 30 million views from me, but then what happened is these other viral places would pull it and post it on them.
Totally.
And it would, all of a sudden you notice a huge spike and they'd tag me in it and they'd get 40 million for them.
Wow.
And like 50 million for them. And it just blew up. And then I go to shows and now, and I tell them, I go, I'm doing a new hour material. I don't promote that. I think everyone knows that that's what I do. I'm doing my new hour. I do it at the end. I go, is there anything you guys want to hear? Because I do an hour and then I do an hour 15. I do a 2-man show. Right. So I got 15 minutes. Is there anything you want to hear? And people call out a bunch of bits. Sometimes I'll tell 2 stories, but I always end up telling the machine. And as soon as I say it, they go fucking nuts.
I was wondering this, and I'm sure the answer is no. I was just curious. You didn't do it on the Netflix special.
No. It's an interesting story, though.
I was thinking on the way over, Bert could actually, in my opinion, my comedy snobbery opinion, although I'm not as big of a snob as some of my peers, I was like, Bert could totally get away with that because, just like I said, like that's what people want on every platform. I thought he could do that and nobody would hate, or I wouldn't hate.
It's an interesting story that I'll tell you off air, but I will say that during my special, they were calling out bits they'd already heard.
Oh my God.
Which is like, it's so bizarre because part of you is like, you heard it. So on my next tour, I got to figure out how to do it. On my next tour, I want to call it the Encore Tour, and I want to tell a mashup closing bit that is the Machine, Fight a Bear, Flying Dildos, and the Tracy Morgan story. Like like tell a story that encompasses.
Find a way to do a story that's all of the stories.
That's all the stories into one.
In an abstract way, or that?
I don't know. I got to figure it out on stage. And
I got an idea for a show.
Yeah.
That I want to do my next tour, but it's a similar creative challenge, which is I want to do. So I did this special with Natasha, and this is like my most current half hour. I have another hour that I'm just like, I need to just write and record because it's the hour I was touring with. I went too long without doing a special.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
So I have an hour that's the hour before this half hour. So it's like, it's stale, but it's good. It's good. I just need to do it.
Just tour it for like 6 months,
exactly.
and it's going to
do another special in a year or two. Anyway. But the tour that I would like to do, the next thing I'd like to do is I do like a lot of crowd work on the road. Yeah. And what I want to do is a show called like 5 questions or 10 questions. And it's basically, the problem with crowd work from a permanent perspective is that it can often feel very temporary and in the room. Like it's the most magical thing in the world when you see it, but it's like, well, I don't care what that guy does for a living. I know it was fun there, but how do you make it feel permanent? So I want to do a show called 10 questions or 5 questions where I figure out the 5 or 10 questions that are the most fertile for a crowd to answer, that aren't like, what do you do for a living, but are more like, tell me about the most awkward sexual experience you ever had, some version of that, or tell me about the closest near-death experience you ever had, where I ask the question 10 questions. That's the hour, and I get the answer. So it's a crowd work where the stories and the ideas are compelling enough that you can have a permanent crowd work special that won't feel like,
that's pretty brilliant.
If I can figure out those questions and it can work. But that's what I'm gearing towards for my next big touring thing, is like, because Todd Barry did a crowd work tour and there's been other crowd work tours also. Like I wanted to find an angle on a crowd work tour that felt more like my own thing, and I think that's what I want to do next.
That's a really great premise. I loved doing crowd work.
Yeah.
And then I stopped because it really was, for me, it really was an excuse to not write. For me.
Dude, it is an absolute liability in terms of the desperate need to write, because
but
I can always kill. If I have 20 minutes of material, I can headline any club.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I have 20 minutes of new material, I'm good, because the less jokes I tell at a live gig, the more fun I'm having,
and the more fun
the crowd's having.
Dude, I said a new bit I'm working on is Isla had her my youngest had her period, and so we had a period party, and I was just talking through this getting her period, and I'm trying to get to this period party and write the bit for that and talk about periods, and I said to this lady in the front row, I go, do you remember where you were when you got your first period? And she goes, oh yeah. And I was like, really? And she goes, kickball. And immediately I go, oh, did you think you broke your pussy? And just, oh my God, I'm bleeding. Like, and it just killed. And then I went, why, Bert, stop. Like, tell the joke you wrote in the house today. Like, don't, because nothing's going to be as good as what you just said.
P.S. Tell me about the first time you got your period. That's the kind of question where if you're watching a master of crowd work, tease that story out of a person, then you're gonna. That's a more permanent. To me, that's the kind of question that is more you can watch and go, oh, you can watch that in a year. Because
well, you're different than your crowd work is very different than mine. Mine is very bro-y. Like it's coming from that perspective of not the enlightened crowd work. No, I'm not saying.
Well, I mean, whatever unenlightened, but yeah.
No, but like you can tell when guys do amazing crowd. When guys are like real masters of crowd work, they are putting their thumbprint on their responses.
Yeah, that's fair. Totally.
And so mine was like mine always ended with like, I'm talking not like the most spontaneous,
right,
but like the most like you'd be in the back of the room. I promise you'd be like, this is funny as fuck, but of course he's going there. Like I had a blind guy in the front row in Hartford, Connecticut one time. I had 2 deaf people at my show in Schaumburg the week before.
Cool.
And they had said, we're fans of your show. We hired this translator to...
They were fans of your travel show?
My travel show.
Oh, wow, cool.
And they were like, we hired a translator to translate for me. Of course, you know where I went. Hacky, blowjob.
Yeah,
sure. Kills. That's my crowd work I'm doing, right? So then I get the blind guy in the front row, and immediately, this is how stupid I am. I go, you must be a fan of my show? Like thinking, you're blind, why would you come here? And he's like, how would I watch your show? And I was like, oh yeah.
How would I watch your show?
Yeah. And I said to him, your wife's actually really beautiful. And he was like, I know. I said, what do you mean you know? And he was like, I can tell. I felt her face. I know she's gorgeous. And I like everything about her.
That's really interesting.
And I was like, so you can tell a face, you can feel a face and tell how attractive they are? He was like, yeah. So immediately I have him on stage in a seat, and I have people from the audience walking by, and him feeling their faces and going 5. And it was just,
that's amazing. Was
killing.
He right?
What?
Was he right?
To a T.
Amazing.
A T. The only thing that he was off on is he couldn't, because he wasn't feeling bodies. There would be overweight people, and he'd say they were hotter than they were.
Hey, but if you came down my road, you can be an 8. You can be a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really fucking... But that's where like my crowd work was like... I remember, this is a perfect example of my crowd work. I did a show with Steve Trevino in Miami. This is back in the day. It was a co-headlining show, but Steve went first, and I had to close it. I was the only white guy on the show. All Cuban, Puerto Rican, Dominican, black audience. And I am bombing so fucking bad that I give up. And I go, fuck it. I want the most thugged out black guy in here. Come on up on stage. I'll buy you drinks all night. Guy with gold fronts comes up, sits up stage, bring a chair up for him. I go, I want the most Cuban, fresh off the boat, socks with your flip-flops kind of guy. He comes up. I go, my jokes aren't working, and I think it's a translation problem. So I'll say my joke, and then you translate it to your people. Okay, here we go. I was talking to a girl, and then I give it to the black guy, and it was, oh man, I've been hollering at this bitch, and the place was going nuts.
That's very funny.
It was really great, but it was always something, bringing people on stage. It was but
that's fun. That's like
it's fun, but it'll never turn into
closer or something. But
it's never going to turn into a bit.
Yeah, I am a big defender of crowd work. I really resent the. There's a few things I resent in comedy, and one is that I really resent like the idea that crowd work is like a inferior form of comedy, or
I agree 100%.
A crutch, or it's weak. It's like, no, the inferior crowd work is from inferior practitioners of that. Like if you saw Patrice O'Neill live, who did probably 40% crowd work, there wasn't a dude in comedy that had a more like prescient and hilarious and amazing experience as a live performer than watching him riff. Like the best.
Dude, his last, it was an album.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear
Mr.
that?
P? I haven't heard it yet. No.
He goes up on stage and he's like, there are these two overweight black chicks in the front row, and he goes, "Oh, get them chicken wings, baby," and she's like gives him a face. He goes, "Oh, are you gonna give me big black bitch right now? You're gonna give me big black bitch?" He goes, "Honey, I grew up with a big black bitch. I ain't scared of big black bitch. I talk big black bitch. Get her some ketchup." Like immediately.
No,
he reads her and then translates her to his mom, and it is like
he was a master.
He
of
was
that.
so
By the
fucking
way,
good.
you know how good he was. I used to open a couple times when I was an MC at the Punchline. I would open for him, and it's San Francisco. He was maybe the most sexist comedian who's ever worked in maybe like ever. And, I mean, on stage anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, you could argue Cosby was a little bit more sexist, but I would watch these crowds. Maybe 10% of the women would be like, "Fuck you," and would walk. But the ones that would stick around, the most incongruous, inorganic connection audience of a liberal kind of woke San Francisco feministy female crowd, be unable to deny what was happening on stage, and just like against their own will, they would be laughing.
I was at a dinner. I will not say these people's names.
Yeah.
3 of the bigger women in comedy, and we were at a dinner with 12 people. This is the night he had his stroke. And I brought up that Patrice was one of my favorite comics. And 3 of these women each gave a reason they hated Patrice.
Yeah.
And each cited a joke that he said that offended him. And one of them said, he one time had the audacity to say, he was doing something in Montreal, and he was like, "All right, let's just say there's no laws on fucking kids."
I've had this conversation with Patrice.
Yeah, what age would you say, "All right, you can't fuck a kid at that age"? And as she said it, the whole table laughed, and then she's like, "It's not that funny," and everyone was like, "It's a good premise.
Funny.
It's a good premise."
Yeah, he had this one. I mean, by the way, I find his material.
Yeah. What time do you need to get?
I
gotta
go soon.
Okay. Yeah, we'll wrap this up.
By the way, I find his material, his ideas, straight up objectionable. Like not cool. And yet, I'm gonna watch that special every time. Dude. You know what I mean? He was so good. Anyway, my point is that there are masters of crowd work that...
Dude, his elephant in the room is arguably crowd work.
Yes.
Honey, how long do they think I'm going to look for you?
The beginning. That was always my problem a little bit with Patrice, having seen him live, was like his HBO special. It was great, but it didn't feel like it bottled his lightning.
Right.
And Elephant in the Room very much was
Elephant Room.
You got it.
I want to thank the audience coordinator for them set of titties in the front row.
Yeah, it's so good.
Thank you so much for them titties. Patrice was so much fun. The one thing I said, like, I think I've stolen from all comics hints of things. Meaning I found, like, one of the things I stole from Burr is that, and I mean,
from Burr,
from Bill Burr.
I thought you said Bert. I'm like, you're Bert, dude.
No, is that Burr challenges himself every special to kind of recreate himself, help reinvent himself. He challenges himself to try something new. If it's an act out or if it's a conversation with an inanimate object, he always challenges himself. So that's the one thing. I saw him do that, and I wanted to start doing that. The one thing I took from Dave Attell sometimes is tell the pacing of a joke and then tell your story. Like, it's very clear in my act. When I was 22, I got involved with the Russian mafia. Here's how it happened. That's almost Dave Attell.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's Dave Attellism. You know what cops hate? When you touch their faces. I fought a bear one time. I jumped out of a plane with Rachel Ray. It's a Dave Attell into my joke, and you wouldn't notice it, but I know for a fact that is how I started telling stories, and it leaked into my life. The one thing I would say that I stole from Patrice. Patrice had a rhythmic beating of words that he said he stole from Mobb Deep.
Oh wow,
and he would say or NJZ. I remember him telling me he would get caught on phraseology. There's a phrase that Jay-Z has: beep beep, and I'm picking him up. Let him play with the dick in the truck.
Yeah.
And there's a phrase. Everyone get ready. I'm about to use the N-word. And just so if you're offended, just know that here it is. Here's where it comes. There's a phrase he had when it was a DC sniper. Do you remember that? And he goes, "Man, all these all these people are like this diabolical mastermind. This mastermind, he's a diabolical genius. He's a genius. And they found out it was a nigga in a Pontiac, and it was just the pacing of that nigga in a Pontiac.
Right,
and it just came, and they bleeped it, and it fucked up the joke.
In Elephant in the Room?
No, that's in his Comedy Central Presents. They bleeped it, and I was like, that's the brilliance of the
pop.
And it's his. He got it from hip hop.
This is what he said to me when I opened for him. By the way, we were not close. If I'm telling the story like he was my bud, he wasn't. He was a guy that I admired from afar. But I did get the chance to open for him, and he goes, Moshe Kasher every night. Moshe Kasher, your name might as well be Jewish, nigga. And I was just like, every night, like, so like, thank you for that insult, and also for the N-word, for allowing me into your world. It was one of the funniest things I've ever heard.
God, I would simply love him to be alive to see him and Natasha hang out.
I wonder if she met him, actually.
I'm sure.
Oh boy, what a classic duo that is. Speaking of classic duos, Natasha and I just dropped a Netflix special. It's called the Honeymoon Stand Up Special. It's a 3-part special coming your way with some of the crowd work that I was talking about on the third episode.
Dude, I could talk to you forever.
Same here.
This is the one of the I'm going to set up a meeting for you next time in New York with my buddy Dan Adler. He always hits me up on an interview like this where he's like, dude, that's the best interview ever, because it's when I can hang out with guys that I've known for a while, and it's just seamless conversation. And I just take a general meeting with him. He's a really great guy. He created Man vs. Food. He created Bert the Conqueror. He created all these amazing shows.
Oh, we got Natasha and I have a travel show, so we're coming your way, Dan.
All right, I'll set it up.
All right,
bro.
Dan.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on the baby, the special, on everything.
Life is good, and it's good to have other people for whom life is good as well, even if we sometimes think it's not good if we don't get enough likes.
Ooh, that reminds me. Time to post an Instagram video. It's 4:00. Thanks.
Thank you, dude.